and getting involved with something like Fartcoin is much more fun and easier than it is getting involved with something like Yearn. And I feel like I lost more money in the meme coin super cycle that either just passed or that we're in than the DeFi Summer cycle. DeFi Summer felt more exciting, more innovative, felt like super cutting edge, and I feel burnt out from this cycle right now.
We are back. Not A Cartel. Episode 9, right?
9?
Episode 9.
Wow.
The boys are back. The vibes are at an all-time low. People are crashing out left and right.
Right here.
The vibes in this circle are high. Everyone's feeling good. Devin's getting ready for ETH Denver, his favorite conference of the year. Cooper is getting ready to go skiing with Lucas on the slopes this weekend in Sun Valley. Adam's going to be sledding.
Dude,
I will also be sledding.
Hey, you're gonna? Oh, I was gonna say, is Cooper gonna get on the slopes? That'd be exciting.
No.
I will be on the slopes, just on a different vehicle than the other people.
You guys should go snowmobiling. You guys should rent some snowmobiles.
Down.
You will need
in the
car.
budget, Lucas?
It's not on my budget, no. But you guys are more than welcome to do whatever you want.
The Not A Cartel mint fees aren't paying for snowmobiles in Sun Valley.
It might buy you like a nice sandwich somewhere right now.
Yeah, we can get a sandwich.
Take that.
Gluten-free, probably out of the budget.
Yeah.
So Coop, you're out. Adam,
Yeah, let us wrap.
Coop's got to pay extra for that.
Lucas, why don't you tell us a little bit about this Sun Valley hang coming up this weekend? What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So every year we like to host a little crypto ski retreat with 40 or so crypto founders, investors, other people in the
Builders,
industry.
if you will.
Builders is a great way to describe it.
Viewers.
And it's a very relaxed weekend pre-ETH Denver.
Clickers.
Get to know a bunch of people. A lot of dinners. Not a lot of work talk unless you're really into it. And overall, we've done this this is our third year.
Set.
Yeah, a little DJ set. I heard Koopy Troopy is going to make an appearance on the decks, as well as some other artists like Kate or Dot, who's a music NFT person, also local to Sun Valley. And yeah, this is the third year we've done it. It's usually a very awesome, fun weekend. Lots of great people, great vibes. No weddings at all. Yep, no weddings.
There's no weddings at Sun Valley, huh? No one's getting
3
married
of the
over there.
members of this podcast will be in Sun Valley. One of them will not, and I'll just leave it at that.
Wait,
I still cry at night about this.
We're
But,
not
you know,
supposed to talk about crypto at ETH.
You're more than welcome, but it's
What
like
am I
there's
supposed
no
to talk about.
No, of course you can fucking talk crypto. We just don't do like a governance workshop or like, something like that.
Adam was really
like
looking forward to the governance work.
He's going to be developing grants out there.
Yeah. Adam
On
is just
slopes,
coming
on the sledding. You got
trying
tokens?
to land some grants.
Sledding by people. Do you have free tokens to give away? You can get more holders.
Yelling on the lift. Honestly, Adam, you should do that. You should post a little TikTok of you telling people about the future of
The retention is great.
Oh, it's so good. Your friends at Zerion will be there, Adam.
Let's go.
Hey.
Let's go.
Zerion people coming
Let's
out.
go. Zero
Shout out
crew.
Booga.
Shout out.
My boy.
Shout out.
Big Booga.
Booga booga.
All right, let's actually talk.
Yeah, what
about
are we
something
what are we
meaningful.
what are we talking about here?
We've wasted enough of viewers' time. I think I really like that tweet that we had. It's not on the agenda, but it's from Toli about how DeFi Summer. Can someone let's talk about DeFi Summer versus Memecoin? We'll call it Mania.
Lucas misses DeFi Summer.
I miss DeFi Summer.
I long for another DeFi Summer.
Back in my day, you could stake the tokens for 2 million% APY.
And earn some yams, all right? Bring back
Wow,
the yams.
throwback.
Back in my day, the tokens were new. There was only 10 of them.
I remember where I was when Yam came out. And I remember where I was when the Uniswap airdrop hit. Good times.
Where were you? Give us a snapshot into the
in
life of
Miami.
Chevy.
I was in Miami. It was a nice humid.
Chevy was partying in Miami.
It was a nice humid day
20
during
wallets.
during COVID. and right, it was a COVID time. It was a COVID.
It was COVID. It was technically
COVID.
COVID, but it's hard for you to remember that because you were in Miami.
I was in Miami.
Right.
Yeah.
Miami. COVID was not a thing in Miami.
No.
Yeah. Good times, guys. Good times.
It was a good time. Should we pull up the tweet?
Pull it
Lucas?
Pull
I'll
it
pull it
up.
up.
Pulled it up. I'm
I'll
trying
pull it
to
up.
find it right now.
I'll pull it back up.
It up.
All right.
Here it
Coop,
is.
read it out. What's Totally saying here?
There's a bit of a thread here, and this is actually a very good thread that I recommend reading. Sam CZ, one of the most famous white hat hackers, basically just saying, what can we do to hold people accountable for everything that's going on here? A little back and forth. We got the founder of Curve chipping in. We got Kobe chipping in. We got Anatoly chipping in from Salon. He says, DeFi Summer was way worse, leveraging loops that created a nasty house of cards. There's virtually no contagion for meme coins. Now, there's a lot to unpack here, but let's just say that ETH people did not like this claim. My friend David Hoffman being one of them. And the argument is basically, are meme coins worse for the industry than the downfall of projects like Luna and, to a lesser degree, FTX? Chat, what do we think about that?
It's a really good question. I've been reflecting on it for a little bit since I saw that tweet. It just inherently feels worse with the meme coins. And my big reason for that is it's so much easier to deploy a meme coin versus, at least with DeFi Summer, there was like a protocol and a front end, and you actually had to deploy the smart contracts and all of these kind of like more technical hoops. Versus Pump.fun and kind of the current meme coin meta, it's pretty easy for anyone to just launch it. So I just think the surface area for scams and bad actors is just significantly larger. Now, I will fully recognize that I'm an ETH person and maybe I'm coping here. So I'll leave it at that. My personal take as someone that was there in DeFi Summer versus, Meme Coin Mania today.
Some would say, Lucas, that you stood to make a lot of money during DeFi Summer as an active participant in those markets. Is this
I would
correct?
argue that I stood to make money in both markets, but I would say that I lost more money in meme coins. Sure.
It's just a fact to put on record there. David,
Yeah, but,
what do you think?
With that said, the caveat is I was way more plugged in to DeFi Summer than I was meme coins. So
I think
Chevy?
getting involved with something like Fartcoin is much more fun and easier than it is getting involved with something like Yearn. And I feel like I lost more money in the meme coin super cycle that either just passed or that we're in than the DeFi Summer cycle. DeFi Summer felt more exciting, more innovative, felt like super cutting edge. And I feel burnt out from this cycle right now in ways that, like, the DeFi cycle inspired me. It was eye-opening. It was really exciting. You met a lot of great people through it. People were hyped, building cool stuff. Now people are just like endlessly dropping random ass tokens that have T-minus 15-second loops of excitement and adrenaline. And you do that a few times a day and you're wiped out. Like, you're wiped out clean. So I prefer the DeFi era personally.
I think we're having the wrong conversation. I think we're talking about which scams were worse. And the real question is, like, why are there so many scams in crypto? And I've been on the record in personal conversations and probably on podcasts like this saying, like, crypto's not a scam. There's all this real stuff. There's real builders. You don't understand. And I feel like I don't have any. I'm losing things to stand on in that conversation. And just to answer the, like, which one is worse, I would say still meme coins are more exhausting, but they technically, I would say, aren't as bad because no one's really promising anything, even though they're more exhausting. But it shouldn't matter. Scams are scams. And as an industry, we are all supporting, buying into, and getting lost in too many scams. And how do we stop it? Whether it's on Solana or ETH or Avalanche or Tron, wherever it is, I think there's a problem here.
How do we stop it, David?
I think it starts with the leaders in the space, and there are a lot of leaders in the space who continue to promote products that aren't great. And maybe some of them don't know they're great. And maybe here's a great tweet. We need more stuff like this coming from more of the CT influencers. And what we have every cycle is a couple people getting wildly rich off something, and then those people become the main characters. And some of those main characters almost always start to promote scammier stuff. And then a lot of people get lost in the scammier stuff. And then we're right where we are all the time.
Reality is that 30% of these products still inherently involve speculative use cases or promote speculative use cases, like Farcaster and the Warpcast feed. All the virality happened around speculative use cases, from Clinker to frames motivating and inspiring more transactions within the app, and all that going towards speculative products and projects, to Zora and their secondary market and the liquidity pools that they created on Uniswap, to Rodeo and the secondary market that they're trying to create. I don't know the rest of the logos other than, of course, Blackbird. I don't know what TYB is, but I don't know. This tweet is a little bit misleading, although I understand what it's trying to do. But just to show you the scale in which how many speculative use cases and products that are built around the core behavior of crypto being just inherently degenerate, but even trying to put a mind map together, 30% of the products that you're featuring still are inherently driven through speculative use cases.
I don't have an issue with speculation. And I think there's a big difference between Aave and Luna. And there's a big difference between Fartcoin and Libra, or Pepe and Libra. At least from what we know of those two other tokens. And I think like that's the issue. Like, why do we part of crypto is that it's financial. So having some layer of speculation, I think, is okay in the product. Casinos are by and large speculative places, but the reason people go back to casinos is because they're having fun and they win sometimes. And I think there's a big difference between that and like literally knowing that your money is getting stolen from you.
Fair.
I don't know. I'm angry this
Question:
week.
Anybody have money in Libra in this group?
I bought some Libra.
I bought some Libra.
Sorry guys, sorry for your loss.
I lost like 100 or like $1,000 or something. I wasn't that worried about it. I'm just kind of used to it at this point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think the people that got the most mad are the ones who saw their friends full port into Trump at like $1 or $2 and make like $1 million on a trade. And then it's like, oh, okay, mental model. It's Argentina. It's going to do the same thing. I'm going to full port my last 6 months of trading into this new coin. And then it tanks within an hour. And everyone's like, okay, this is the worst thing in the world because I lost money buying the Pico top on a nation coin at $4 billion.
Fair.
My commentary on this, I think, is really well articulated by Kobe in that same thread that I was just sharing earlier. So let me pull this back up. I'm not going to read it word for word, but more or less, basically, he's saying that this has been happening long before meme coins, and it's going to continue to happen again and again. There's basically a conversation about like, can we socially shame people that are propagating the meme coin parlay narrative, gambling, casino, etc. And his take was just like, you can shame them all you want, but it's just going to change to new people and new things every single time. It's going to take 5+ years for this to be recognized. I thought this was pretty good. The goal is to get rich in 2 weeks instead of in 2 to 4 years, and this makes them very easy marks. There are 100 ways to tell Libra was not legit, and yet people bid it in a straight line to $4 billion. And non-agency managed KOLs will post it at the top to support their buy.
Keep going.
Everyone knew that it was worth nothing, but they have seen something worth nothing go up a lot, and they want to hit one of those two. Very, very true. Game of chicken. And then last one here that I'll talk about. Same moral panic did not exist when ICP went from $300 billion FDV to $3 billion FDV. And so I guess the thing that I think is a positive out of here is he's highlighting that this has happened in the past, the same market dynamic, but it used to be with the VC coins, super high FDV, low float. And now as a market, we're slowly starting to learn that people don't really want to buy those anymore because they've gotten burned enough that this is not worth doing. And his take, which I really agree with here, is we're still in the close proximity to Trump, going from $0 to $100 billion, that people are still trying to emulate that. And it's not going to be a long-lasting problem. It's more of like a cycle-specific problem.
I bought Libra. I remember I put like 4 or 5 Zol into Libra, knowing I saw the thing. I was like, this thing's like 90% held in one wallet. But because of the Trump mental model, I was like, I guess this is just like what people, crime is legal. It's crime season. maybe if I buy and sell this fast enough, I can get ahead of the crime. Now, luckily, I didn't like full port into it. I think that's where a lot of people got burned. But I agree with that sentence in there that Kobe had of like, all you had to do was literally like 25 seconds of research to know this thing was sketchy is very accurate.
Well, I think that's the thing that have most people up in arms is like you almost get rewarded for being early to sketchiness. Like in the past with all of these meme coin launches and especially Trump and stuff like that, like when I saw Trump first launch, it was really hard to tell if it was legit or not. And you got rewarded for taking a super big bet on something that was likely a scam and turned out not to be. And so in a lot of ways, you're encouraging people to double down on scams, top blast scams, etc. But for whatever reason, this ended up just being like the launch that I think kind of like broke everyone's going crazy and crashing out because of this specific launch, but it doesn't feel that much different from a lot of the ones that came previous to this in the last year or two. I just think this is the one that people are like, all right, I'm tired of this. My viewpoint that I'll say, just taking a step back and going back to the DeFi thing, is that it's just bigger and it's a new class of users, but it's no different from what's happened in the past before. And I actually think that like the ability for anyone to launch a token without being a dev is a net positive. I actually don't think that it's a bad thing that you don't need to be a developer to launch a token. No, I think that's a good thing. And I think in a lot of ways, we're just weeding out like all of the shitty stuff to kind of get to the good things, which in my mind is kind of embodying where DeFi is at now, where you had this crazy run up of speculation in DeFi summer. You fast forward 4 years now, it's survived a couple of crashes. There's not a huge spin out that happens every time there's a big liquidation in the market anymore. And now you have, markets like Aave and Morpho and products like Uniswap and all these different things that are like doing really well, but they're just not like the front main page narrative. And so people don't think about them as much, but they're starting to be solid under the hood. And so I think that's what's going to happen with meme coins, is that we're getting all this shit out the door right now. There's going to be a huge cool off. Everyone's going to say they're a scam. And then we're going to come back 3-4 years from now and be like, oh, that was obvious in hindsight, but there was just way too much proliferation of bullshit, the same way there was with ICOs, DeFi, NFTs before this.
So where do we go? Where do we head from here?
On the agenda, or just in general in the crypto market?
In general, after this entire event.
I mean, I'm going to speak from bag bias here, but I think that we're going to come back to a little bit more conservative way of approaching speculation and tokenization and whatnot. I don't necessarily know if that's in like a very specific form factor, but I think people are going to like cool off a little bit and kind of be like, okay, how do we do this in a more sustainable way? I don't know though, man. You could also go the other way and just say that people are going to forget in 2 weeks and there's going to be a new runner and people are going to be back at it. But I think there was a lot of tailwinds in this specific situation. Frank retiring his main wallet, which is a weird call out to make here, but I think it's, to me, it embodies that like the clout around being like a really prolific meme coin trader has almost turned a bit, where now people are like looking to basically cancel you if you're like a really prolific public meme coin trader. And so I think the inverse of that is going to be people going back to building good products, finding ways to do things that have a slower build up, and ultimately giving us, in my most optimistic opinion, the end of 2025 is not as much of like super quick pump and dumps, but we actually have some really legit products and tokens that come out that have like a very strong foundation to them.
I'm just curious how many times we need to erase billions of dollars of like wealth in these meme coins. Not that this hasn't, I would agree with Kobe's take, this happens every cycle and it's nothing different, but like at what point do you think that this was the straw that is kind of breaking the camel's back, for lack of a better word here, in the sense of like this might be the last kind of like $4 billion down to whatever it is now, like 100 mil or whatever it is?
I think never. And they're only going to get bigger, in my opinion. Like the size of the drawdowns are just going to get larger as the crypto market as a whole gets bigger, and there's new ways to basically get people to put money into something on the internet. Like $4 billion down to whatever it is, 300 mil is like really not that crazy, all things considered. I mean, FTX was what, like $40 billion? I don't know what like the Three Arrows thing was or like the Luna thing was, but those were all way bigger in capital. I think that this one just felt more widespread because it affected so many, like, for lack of a better term, noobs, right? Like all the new people who came to crypto and have been trading meme coins probably got fleeced on Libra, and they probably weren't the same people that had, their Bitcoin and FTX for a really long time, and they probably weren't yield farming on Luna getting like 25% APY. And so it's just a very different class of people. And so I think that the impact of someone losing like $1,000 was felt a lot more, and I think embodied a lot of the spirit that people out in general, which is just that like I'm getting fleeced on meme coins left and right, and this sucks. And this is just the thing I'm going to point to as the worst of the worst.
I just keep thinking of that like it's like a SpongeBob meme, and it's the guy, and he's like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? You know, and it's just like, how many times are we going to go through this? You know, and it feels like it never is going to stop, and it's even like not even within this cycle, but cycle to cycle. It's just like we've been doing this for a decade plus now, and you know, personally have lived through 3 of these, so it's just like it is crazier, and it never ceases to amaze me, I guess, on like what we come up with and how badly we rug people, whether it is the president of, you know, the United States or the president of Argentina. Yeah, exactly.
Gotta love it.
That's CT right there. Is the
right
old man.
there. Do you want to say something, David?
I was gonna say, is this just one of those examples of blockchains and crypto mimic traditional and human behavior, but at a much faster rate than usually plays out in traditional physical spaces or markets? Like if you if we were to get a banker on here who's got like 20 or 30 years of banking experience, they'd probably be like, yeah, like every, you know, this thing blew up, and this year in 2008, this blew up. And then we had the Japanese yen carry over the summer, and that blew up, and $1 trillion got erased on this day. Like this might be crypto. At the end of the day, we are talking about financial markets, and because they're on the internet and because of the 24/7 nature of crypto, it moves at the speed of light. To Cooper, like maybe this does always happen, but to also take the other side of what I'm saying, I think there's a difference between it happening with outright scams. Not every time traditional markets fall is it because of a scam. Sometimes it is. I think that's the part that we need to just figure out. Like,
you know what's kind of crazy though, and maybe this is like a weird take, but like, what even is the definition of a scam at this point in time? You know what I mean? Like the Libra token was like launched on the president's Twitter account. It had someone that was like running it from like a crypto perspective. And from my perspective, what happened is basically the thing dumped like crazy. So the president got scared as fuck and is like, oh no, I don't want to associate with this. It's a scam. And then the dude launching it was like, well, I don't know what the fuck to do because they told me that they were all in on it until it started tanking. And now they don't want anything to do with it. And so it's just kind of this weird thing where like the word scam, I feel like it's thrown around so easily. And obviously I'm not saying that Libra's like the best product in the world, but it doesn't feel any different from all of the hundreds of, you know, coins that go down 99% on a daily basis on Pump Fund. It was just 1,000 times bigger in magnitude.
I think what makes it, my guess for what makes it a scam and what makes it feel like a scam is the amount of people that got an allocation before it was launched and that were tipped off before it was launched and then like insta sold.
That wasn't a lot of people though. That was like less than 100 people.
That's a lot of people though. I mean, if let's say it was 100 people, let's say it was 90 people. That's a lot of people, especially when all those people are highly influential. So I'm going off what I'm about to say off a Dave Portnoy post. That it's the only post I saw. But from what he said, he was sent Libra tokens. He was asked to tweet about it, and then the guy was like, "No, don't. You can't say that I sent you the tokens. Yeah, don't disclose."
Yeah,
that starts to feel like a scam.
100%. But I guess. Go ahead, Lucas. I have another point I want to add in here, but I've been hogging
I was
the mic.
going to say, I think like the definition of a scam is like you're intentionally being malicious from the get-go. And maybe we don't know what's going on behind the backdoor, you know, conversations there, but like the Libra stuff, you know, the guy running a meme coin, you know, and it's not actually the president, and sending it to KOLs, getting them to tweet it. You're starting to go into murky territory. The other interesting one that I've thought about is like, would you guys consider Terra Luna to be a scam, or was that just the protocol economics just unfolding, you know? And it's like, that to me is more of a finer line of like, okay, how, but you know, towards the end of the Terra Luna cycle, like there was definitely a lot of malicious shit happening and trying to keep the protocol afloat and money moving around that wasn't necessarily honest acting. So
it's kind of like it's not a scam until it goes really badly. And I guess like my analogy that I'll make here is like, look at basically every well-launched VC-funded crypto coin that's existed in history. They all have private rounds of investors that come in early. They all have KOLs. They all have advisors that are getting allocations. And to your point, David, maybe there is more of a disclosure around, hey, this person was paid something or there's vesting applied, etc. It just feels like, to your point about like hyper speed, it's like the Memecoin launch is the exact same thing as every other way that tokens are launched in the world, but just like on 100% turbo speed of giving people invested allocations, buying the token right when it launches. And so I don't know, I feel like we're almost just shifting the blame a little bit here.
I think that it is the same thing, but with zero disclosure and zero oversight. I mean, everybody on this call has raised around and is well aware of how big of a pain in the ass all the paperwork is.
Right. Which, to go back to the point about what does this look like in 4 to 5 years when it actually gets a little bit more mature, that is the direction that I think we're moving in, right? Is basically like lowering the bureaucracy associated with raising capital from contributors, for lack of a better term, and making it easier to actually delegate assets that represent ownership in these products in these communities.
Like, it would be different if when I had gone to check the Libra holders and I saw 90% of it bundled, if it said, if it had a list of some of the other wallets that had like 1% or 2%, and they had to disclose, like, we sent this to Portnoy, we sent this to whoever, like, then sure, I'm seeing like you've decided to hold 90% of your token. You've sent this token to these Coles who are gonna like promote it for you. But now there's actual transparency in the market.
That would be more transparency than like most tokens that launch. And the last thing I'll say here is like, what's the difference between a bundled token launch and a DAO treasury? Like, that's what a DAO treasury has been for years here, is like there's 60% of a token sitting in a team multi-sig that's like reserved for future governance, but like same shit.
I would say transparency and expectation around how those funds are being used.
Yeah.
Like in this bundle transaction, it feels like it's a very top-down decision. And even though in a DAO treasury, it is controlled by a 6 of 9 multi-sig or whatever it is, 6 people, have control over it. At least there's some accountability of who's, there's accountability around who's managing those funds and what they're doing with it. And it's transparent. So that would be my key difference. But I agree, it's, same shit, different toilet.
Chevy, do you have something you want to add in? So you just came off mute there for a second.
I just like this meme. I like this meme a lot. It's pretty good.
That's really funny. It's the president. The other guy's the president of El Salvador.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't know this legend?
Mining Bitcoin with a volcano.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah, and I guess last thing I want to say is I'm definitely not going on record trying to defend Libra by any means. I think that obviously people are really pissed that it's a bad thing, all things considered, but it's kind of just like, I don't know, in some regards, I feel like crypto does this thing where everyone's like holier than thou, like, oh, like we know better, like we've been in the space longer, and like you're a scammer because you're trying to extract value. And I'm just like, dude, most people did the same shit for like their first years in crypto, and everyone's just trying to make it in their own way, whether you're, building a product or whether you're trading the markets or whether you're just like a contributor to some governance forum or whatnot. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it's not that different across the board. And I'm just it's interesting seeing people take these like high road stances when they've likely been in a lot of similar situations in the past before.
Speaking of tokens, Doodles is launching tokens going in dark mode, piggybacking off Pengu anime. Is this different? Is it the same? How are we feeling? I'm bullish Doodles. Big fan of Austin and the Doodles team in general. I, for one, am excited. I know what's his name just left was a CEO, and they brought in the original founder back in, right?
Julian back in the picture.
There it is. Where is it? Here we go. And people are fading Doodles. I don't know. I didn't see any fun on my timeline.
I think there's a difference between fading Doodles and not being overly stoked about them. And I think for a project like Doodles that was in the limelight in 2021, it's very easy to tell the difference between you're at the peak of the NFT bull market, you have hundreds of millions of dollars in secondary volume, and now you're kind of getting bucketed into these like NFT token launches. So my quick take here is big plus one, everything you said, really big fan of what they've done the last couple of years. They've stayed really true to building out their brand, building out the IP, getting a lot of impressions and building product around it. I think the challenge for them is that these NFT tokens have historically not performed very well. And I think that everyone has an expectation of them not going to perform very well. And so at least for me personally, I bought a lot of the collectibles, I opened a lot of the packs and the McDonald's collaborations, but do I see Doodles token going 10x in the next year? In the current second, no, but I think this is, again, what we said earlier, like there is now this pocket that's opened up around like tokens with the foundation and legitimacy around them being maybe more of the thing that catches a bid than just like the fast meme coin. So let's see. I could see it going either way, to be honest with you. Launching on Solana, though, that was a very interesting call.
I wonder if they would change it post Libra, but they're tied to Solana now.
Yep. Married at the hip. I was surprised it wasn't on base, given that everything else that they did was on base. Obviously, there's a bridge going to base, is what they say, but you kind of got to pick or choose the token launch founder. You're like, this is kind of the origin, and everything else is an extension of that.
I mean,
are there any successful token launches in the last year that outside of Hyperliquid that would be considered successful? Company related token launches?
Pengu.
Can anyone? I don't think Pengu is considered successful currently.
Pretty successful in my eyes.
I mean, you're just judging that by token price, right? That's what you're using as success. Like, is the
Correct.
token up, basically?
Correct.
Yeah.
Pengu's not up.
Yeah, Pengu's definitely not up necessarily. We'll have to think on that one. Maybe we'll come back to that at the end of this episode. But
Layer 3.
Layer 3. That's a good
Layer
one.
3.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking the question is, my concern isn't like with the Doodles token is I almost think it's not about whether or not Doodles is doing a good job or Azuki is doing a good job, or if any of these companies are doing a good job. But this market currently doesn't know how to properly price most companies. And I think it's something founders really need to look at right now. Because if the market you're putting your token into doesn't know how to properly price your asset, it leads to a lot of questions about whether or not what kind of market conditions are required for founders to be putting tokens into the market and feel like it is going to be priced correctly.
On the other side of that, which companies are undervalued? Which projects are undervalued? The market is undervaluing that have like core fundamentals.
Well, I was actually going to even add to that too. Like, there's kind of the inverse effect that, like, as a founder of a company that's very early, you can almost benefit from the, overjoy in the market, where we talk about this a lot, but there's projects that have tokens that are worth $250 million plus with not much to show for it. And as a founder, you're almost rewarded for launching the token prior to any success within a product because you can get a higher valuation due to the current way that this market is structured.
I think we're finding that that's not true anymore, though, which is why I'm asking the question. Like, it's wild that anime token, which I would say Azuki has built a real brand. They have a full-on anime TV show they put out on YouTube, and I think it's trading under 100 right now.
Yeah, but I think that we're biased as founders that want, like, anime doing well is good for all of us,
Definitely. But the only example I can think of that has gone up since the drop in the last year is, and wasn't a meme coin, is Hyperliquid.
Yeah, I think I was going to add that I think right now is actually one of the hardest times to be launching a token, just because there's so much attention around pump fund coins, which are launching, tens of thousands of coins every day. And then you have all these major protocols that have been building for years now launching, like Barachain was just recent and they're down only. Pudgy Penguins, same thing. It's just like, it seems to be the same thing. Story protocol, exactly. Of just like, it just seems really hard to get the attention and get capital flowing into your project or your token right now, especially when you've raised these massive VC rounds for years and years, and you have to be coming out at these multi-billion-dollar valuations. Seems to be a recipe for like down only for a bit. And I think that there's a part of it that's natural, of like, you need to wash out all the people that, have accrued some sort of wealth through that like investment vehicle, I guess. But it is really interesting. I just see like every coin launching right now just going down only, for months and months. And it just feels so difficult. And so, as we talked about last week, like PvP right now, in terms of the token launch arena.
Another one of my favorite founders, and I think they built a great, like, I look at the Island chart, Island token. They have probably one of the best gaming experiences in crypto. It's at 32 million FTV right now. Launched at, let's see, what did this launch at? Launched at 20 cents. Now it's down to 3. Space needs to get better at pricing assets. Maybe that's just undervalued and it's going to go up, but feels like it ties to the Libra conversation. It's all connected.
All connected.
We need Vitalik doing something to ETH. That's what we need. Vitalik, just do something, man. He's here talking about making communism great again. We're just trying to get our ETH bags up, milady. He has a new persona online. I kind of fuck with it. I like it. Coop is about to share a different perspective. Here we go. Please.
Oh, I know Coop's got thoughts.
Please, Coop. Please. I for one like seeing Vitalik in Warzone, in the war era.
I don't know if make communism great again was war era.
I think Vitalik doesn't actually know how to be wartime Vitalik. He's like still trying to figure it out, but you know, I respect the effort. He's like he's trying to jump into it.
Make communism great again, milady. Gotta love it.
Coop doesn't want to share his thoughts.
Yeah, Coop doesn't want to share his thoughts. He's holding back.
It's harder for me when I talk to artists these days and when I'm doing my like day-to-day business of selling this record label to like give artists ETH and be like, yeah, this is going to go up a lot. Like you shouldn't cash this out. Like you should hold it. Like I have a lot of artists that got paid out ETH when ETH was like 4K and we'd send them, you know, a bunch of ETH that they made from their drop and now they're down like 20-30% on it. And I'm just like looking at all the dynamics and I'm like, I don't necessarily see this going crazy in the immediate short term. And so like the way that I'm thinking about it today is like, maybe we just move to USDC. And I think there's actually like a very, very high likelihood that for Coop Records, instead of our base pair being in ETH and artists being paid out in ETH at this volatile currency, that we just go to dollars. And we basically just take away the need for an artist to have to think about volatility in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest application in the past year was Polymarket, and they were all stablecoin based. And I think Nick Tomeno had a tweet about that of like, we should see more stablecoin based applications. And I've thought about it on the pod side of like, should we transition over to USDC? It feels like a lot more friendlier for, especially like the Web 2 creators that might be coming on board, you know, in the next 12 months.
Yep.
Do you think it would? I guess the answer is no. Like if you look at Polymarket and Courtyard, but for your specific products and the user base that you have right now, do you think switching to USDC would lead to less demand? Like people being like, I don't want to swap to USDC right now. So,
yep. That's like the real-time conversation I'm having is like, how can someone who doesn't have USDC in their wallet easily buy with ETH? Because my least favorite thing as a crypto native person coming to buy something is not being able to, because I have to swap USDC to check out and make the transaction. It's like adding that extra step sucks ass, but I think that it is fundamentally necessary. And I think that we're likely going to invest in the switchover cost of going to USDC and then investing into the checkout flow of making it really easy to do if you're preferring to pay in ETH, which most people today would choose to do as crypto natives.
Yeah. This has been tested though over and over and over again. Alex Mazmej tried to do this with Dracula. And there's a lot of resistance. Like the currency feels way more expensive than ETH. And people get reluctant to spend as much if it's on USDC versus ETH.
Crypto people do. This is the big thing, is that everything that has historically failed by doing USDC hasn't been able to break out of crypto native buyers, and everything that has been successful using USDC has been because their user base is not crypto native users.
But isn't your strategy getting these artists actually not to talk about crypto to their main artist, and thus they're not onboarding the traditional users?
That was our strategy up to date, but we're hitting a ceiling, as I think all of us can be aware of. And the only way that success happens is if real music fans start to purchase these things. And I feel extremely strongly that real people want to spend dollars, not ETH.
I would agree with that. I think there's a compelling case here to give rebates in speculative tokens potentially and have them pay in stable coins. I would agree that's a bullish case for sure. Yeah,
I think it's going to be choppy though. I think that the first couple months that we roll this out, there's going to be a lot of pushback from all of the people that are doing quests and all the buyers who are currently collecting on a daily basis, being like, I don't want to switch over. But what I'm trying to get to is, I had an experience with Courtyard last week that I may have talked about on the podcast, but I bought a shit ton of Pokemon cards on Courtyard. And to buy those Pokemon cards, I cleared out all of the ETH from all the chains that I never use anymore. I bridged off ETH from Shape Network, and I bridged off ETH from Blast and from Redstone and all these other chains that I just had like a couple $100 of ETH lying around on. And when I put, $1,000 of USDC into my wallet, it started to make perfect sense. I was looking up the price of the card on Courtyard to the USD value of it on like a grading site. And the fact that it was priced in dollars, like it made it feel like it was the same world, despite the fact that I was paying with USDC under the hood. And I think that in that moment, it kind of clicked to me that the USDC feels more free when you're converting it from ETH, but the actual checkout experience of it being in dollars is better at the end of the day if it doesn't feel like you're having to buy it on a credit card. It feels more expensive when you're having to put it on a credit card and you're having to pull money out of your bank account. It doesn't feel more expensive when you're using ETH that's just been lying around for speculative purposes to convert into dollars instead. I know it's a weird nuance there, but something like definitely clicked in my mind that made it feel different than just buying these Pokemon cards on credit.
I would
Damn,
agree with
really
you. I
lost
think
you guys there on that one.
no,
Huh?
I was
No,
just
I'm just
thinking about it,
thinking.
just putting
Yeah.
it in the
Sorry,
pod's
boys.
perspective here. I think it'll be an interesting transition, Coop, for sure. Of like because I'm so used to, just paying stuff in ETH, and like the decimal points makes it kind of always feel free. The 0007 or less makes it feel free. But again, like to your point, we're all crypto natives here, and we've been doing this for years. And this is not necessarily the market that you're going for in the next, medium to long term here.
I think maybe to just end on one more shill of my own stuff here. I know on the agenda we had the Sonieum drop that we were doing, the Sonova drop, and that's a case where pricing in ETH has worked out extremely favorably for us. We have that at the mint price of 0.000777 standard free mint price, and we're getting a ton of mints because people are basically earning XP on Galaxy for completing this quest. This is basically 25,000 mints at this point now.
That's pretty good. That's like an on-chain summer mint.
Yep. It is an on-chain summer mint. I think that we've made 20 ETH before splits on this drop so far. $0 of campaign budget put into this. And this is kind of the interesting thing with these like open edition drops is like you find the right pocket, you price it cheap enough, and it's kind of just goes as like a printer. And I think that all of us had wins like this early on into base when it launched the chain. With all due respect, and I vocalize this as a base team, that doesn't seem to be happening anymore. That's not the case. And so it's interesting finding new pockets where these kind of free mint models are actually benefiting the creators in pretty drastic ways, because those historically to me have been the moments that are like, this creator now, like this guy's an artist in Tokyo. He had no expectation of anything, doesn't know shit about crypto. And I'm like, yo, you just made 25 grand. He's going to love crypto. He's going to be over the moon about it. And those are the things that I think really get the creators to like stick around beyond anything else that they could do.
I just think I would be interested to see what drops 2 through 10 look like on Sony.
Yeah.
And then again, drops in a year. What that looks like.
I mean,
I think that's a bigger question, because right now, base, obviously when everything was hot and you were getting those base, features and everyone was using or minting on base every day, like it felt very sustainable at that time, or at least in some capacity. And now it's just a lot slower, I think. It's in a healthy state, I think. And I, definitely am still bullish on base, but it is an interesting difference of like, can you capture that launch attention? And then what is actually like the long-term sustainable steady state of like activity that's going to be happening on the chain? And that's the bigger question. My usual is a little bit of a side tangent, but my usual like acid test is like, what is the actual like organic demand from creators to be publishing on that network? And like when we were on OP mainnet and base was popping off, like every single creator call we had, we want to be publishing on base. And that's a very easy way to determine we want to go on base. And I just haven't had that since, and there's definitely some shiny new chain launches that you could be more proactive with, around like maybe Abstract or Sonieum here. But it's just tough to put the dev resources there for maybe one mint that might do really well. And you're unsure about the longer term feasibility of it.
I just don't think that, I think we're moving to an era where creators aren't going to have an opinion on what chain they're on.
Yeah.
I think that the era of creators knowing that there are different chains or having a intention to launch an OP mainnet versus Solana versus base, as time goes on, I think it's really going to come down to the platform, founders like us to say, hey, your content exists here. And if we see a good opportunity, it's like a brand collaboration. Like this drop with Sonieum to me was like, hey, this is a new project that has a lot of potential. Let's find an artist that speaks to that culture and let's do like a brand collab the same way you would run that on like Instagram or do like some sort of brand partnership. And so I think that it's less about having to like move your full stack over there and be like, now all the content's going to be here. But I think that we owe it all to creators that are building creator-led products to put them in a position to get outsized returns because of our specific day-to-day knowledge of crypto that cannot be expected from those creators to have themselves.
Sonieum is going to experience mint fatigue, just like every network has. But
Yeah,
we love to see it.
Don't worry, guys.
We love to see it.
You guys can stay. Don't worry.
No
you
worry.
guys can stay over there. Don't worry.
It's just a strategy. It's just part of the strategy. It's part of the execution. It's like you find the next shiny chain, and you go and you bring your content over there, and you deploy alongside them, and you work with them on their go-to-market, and it's great because it works. And that's where the market's attention. That's where all these this minting attention is. And frankly, it works because the incentives are aligned, and people are expecting there to be a token. And these projects will launch a token eventually. So it works, and it's great. It's great, but it's not sustainable.
I actually believe that Sonieum has more real users than a lot of the other chains that have launched recently. My data point for that is that this app called UOK, which is like a J-pop idol voting platform, had like 20,000 unique users in their first 2 weeks of using the platform. And none of them had any on-chain transactions prior to that. And the big thing that Sonieum's been leading with as like a marketing point is their unique wallets that are transacting on an active basis. And I want to say it was somewhere around like 2 to 3 million unique wallets that have been minting on the network. So I agree with Adam's point.
But where are they getting these users?
What are they getting? What is this? What is this? Who's minting? What are they minting? Japan. Okay.
Yes.
I know Japan is inherently more crypto native and digitally forward than we are on the West. So love that. But what are they minting? What are these 2 to 3 million people minting?
I'm not super well versed in the Sonieum ecosystem, so I don't want to come up here and say that I have an understanding of this, but they have a couple social networks that are out there right now.
Okay.
They have these more like governance oriented platforms like UOK and whatnot. They have like the NFT marketplace like Sonova. And so I think that they are very much just trying to give them things to mint. You know what I mean? I think that people like the idea of being early to a new chain.
The population of Japan is 124 million. So by your numbers, or like the numbers that Sonium's reporting, that's about 2% of the Japanese population.
I'm not saying that 100% of their users are based in Japan, I know. But I'm saying predominantly speaking.
Still, like that's like a meaningful amount, even if it was only half, like 1%.
What's going on here? We got a chain bringing on new people.
Look,
Cooper's
we are arguing the specific point that you think all of these users are legitimate people.
No, I didn't say that. I said that they have a lot of new users that have historically never used crypto before.
For me, well, that's easy to fucking spin up a fresh wallet, load it with some ETH, and then mint something for the first time on a network that's brand new.
David, give me some backup here, man.
Here's where I'm going with Coop on this one. We've been talking a lot at Hume about how we should be experimenting more in like Japan and South Korea, especially because we make virtual and AI artists. And those virtual artists, AI artists, they actually call them idols. They're called like virtual idols. And there's like actually an entire market around this in Japan, South Korea, China. And a lot of that market is also supported by people collecting, not necessarily on chain, but getting digital collectibles. So I wouldn't be shocked if Sonium's having a lot more success with the real people than most other chains that have targeted North America, because you actually have a company. Sony actually knows the Japanese market. It's not like some random North American founder or like some guy from Russia like launching a new chain and like going and trying to get the Japanese market. I'm excited about it, and I hope it's all real. And I think there's a better chance than usual that it is real, and there is real traffic there, because that population they actually do like to collect. Like
they like to collect.
Proven. They like to collect. And I think what Cooper you kind of said this, but to make it like the artist you chose is a Japanese artist. So it's very possible a lot of these people were familiar with that person. One of the only places where there's consistent CD sales is in South Korea, and I wouldn't be shocked if that also is the case in Japan. So there's good product market fit potentially.
Coop's going all in.
Coop's all in.
I have intentions to deploy Coop Records on Sonieum more full-fledged, and it not to just be like a one-off drop, but to have more of like a continuous ongoing partnership there. And I'm excited about it. I think that I went into it with extremely low expectations, and my expectations were overly exceeded. The collection had 10,000 mints prior to there being a Galaxy Quest that got started on it. So again, I don't know who those users are, where they came from, but I'm not getting 10,000 organic mints on base these days. And again, I think to Adam's point, mint fatigue, a huge dynamic here. I'm not saying this is going to happen every time, but I don't know. I just have a lot of respect for, if I go somewhere and I do a drop and it ends up being like better than I expected, I'm like, what's going on here? I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to put some more time and energy into it. And I just want to give credit where credit is due. They definitely made me feel really
100%.
welcomed and took good care of me and put good attention on it and made sure the drop went smooth. And I think they deserve some love.
Absolutely. Big love. Absolutely.
Big love.
A lot of love.
Absolutely.
A lot of love.
Cartel. What else? What else are we diving into here?
Yeah, I know we're coming up on the hour here, so I think final stretch topics.
Nick Tomato, one confirmation acquires Meebits IP.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Pretty good one.
That was
Continues
interesting.
to
I
love
think
seeing
that
what
paired
they
with his like walk and talk today, which I did not get the chance to listen to it, but the title was pretty much NFTs are going to make the biggest comeback ever. That's a really interesting pairing. Of last week he buys Meebits IP, and now he's going bullish on NFTs.
I admire how he stays so cool, calm, and collected throughout all this. It's quite a talent. Even hanging out with him in person, he's like not phased by anything.
That's like a lot of the people from the 2012 to 2014 like crypto class. I think it's just they're so just zen at this point.
I've seen it all.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're kind of getting to that.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're a little exhausted right now with this meme coin cycle, but next cycle when it's God knows what, maybe we'll be a little bit more zen. Been at it for a decade.
I think the NFTs are going to make a comeback as an intention is very positive for all of us that are currently on this podcast in terms of our business model with collectibles and finding new ways to monetize creative work on chain at cheap prices. I would be curious to unpack more of what his view around like NFTs are going to make a big comeback again looks like. In conversation, I don't think that he's expecting like floor prices on punks to go through the roof or there to be like a massive revival on Bored Apes or Meebits, but I think within their acquisition, there is an intention that with the right energy, you can get a sort of slow kind of rise up, that these kind of have bottomed in some way, shape, or form. And that if we can almost democratize the collections a little bit more where they are, I think Doodles actually was in a pretty good spot how they did kind of these cheaper mints with, you can buy a pack for $5, you can dress up your avatar, etc. Pudgy the same way with the toys and whatnot. So I think all of that is very net positive in terms of like make it cheaper to collect things on chain and participate in crypto markets. I think what's yet to be proven is how do you capture that value in a way that not only makes sense for your business, but also like the market recognizes that as valuable and like that the market wants to buy either these cheap things or buy the governance token, et cetera, because they believe that that model is worth valuing as a narrative.
We should get Nick on the pod.
Yeah.
I thought.
I agree. Because the one question I have about the Meebits purchase is, okay, they purchased the IP, they put Sergito in charge. Are they also funding it with like a annual budget? Like, are they funding the company now that they've acquired? Someone's got to like,
I'm sure there's still
put up
royalties.
at least 2 or 3 million a year if that thing's gonna like, or a million and a half, like to like get it going.
Well, low key, one confirmation raised an NFT fund. I believe it was to the orders of somewhere between 50 to 100 mil.
He said 50 on his walk and talk this morning.
And they have only deployed about 10% of it, maybe. So there's a lot of dry capital there. And I would imagine that the acquisition was basically like a buyout of the IP and then also an investment into Sergito as like the founder now. So I do believe that there is
some type of seed happened there. That would make a lot of sense. How do we, while we're on this discussion and NFTs coming back, it seems like OpenSea is dropping the ball and they've just created the blur dynamics and all. Yeah, I've seen this.
The product is fucking sick.
Great product.
The product is sick. I have used it. It was beautiful. But what I'm seeing on my timeline, and it's reflected in floor prices, is they're mimicking the farming that happened on Blur, and we're just doing the same thing over again 2 years later, 1 year later, however much time it's been.
Sure, but mimicking is a strong word. I think that it's logically the best way to run a campaign to increase engagement on your platform prior to launching a token. I don't think there's like a strategy they could have done instead that would be like so much more differentiated, creative, etc. And on my end, the biggest change in this product was not the ability to trade NFTs, but also the ability to see your tokens reflected alongside your NFTs and view your portfolio as basically one holistic approach as opposed to it only being focused on the NFTs in your wallet.
This is how that strategy pans out in the market here.
Thank you, Luca.
Yeah, terrible strategy. $500 million company. Yeah, these guys really blew it. You know, what are we talking about? This is a $425 million company after a 80% drawdown. If I'm this founder, I'm fucking hype about this chart.
97.2% drawdown.
Yeah,
for the record.
Even better, $400 million valuation after a 97% drawdown.
Like,
Not that bad a chart. That's Uniswap's chart. That's Ronin's chart. That's everyone else that's shipping out here.
Than Uniswap for sure. This is a different chart.
Uniswap's chart's probably worse than that.
No, it's not.
So curious what's about to happen.
Yeah, I'm at the edge of my seat.
Oh,
we at least got upward momentum here. Upward momentum.
Shut the hell up.
You see a little tail. That little tail, guys. We're heading somewhere.
Why don't you go to Ronin too for a second? By the way, Ronin just launched they just open sourced their whole network. They're killing it shipping wise. And the market does not seem to value it the same way. But I would argue that these guys are crushing it too. You look at that chart. Is that a failure, guys? Is that a failure of a chart because the token's down? I don't think so. I think that they're doing a pretty damn good job.
Yeah.
All right, Coop.
I think if you're OpenSea and you're looking to launch a token right now, your goal is, can we be worth more than Blur? And I think that they're going to launch and it's going to be worth somewhere between 1 to 5 FDV. And if I'm the founder of OpenSea, I'm basically going, all right, how can we have a token that's worth more than Magic Eden's token, than Blur's token, Tensor's token? Probably missing a couple others here, but I think they got a good shot. I think they got a good shot.
Eden doing? They actually had a pretty good revamp for a bit.
Just all attention. I don't think any of these marketplace tokens will catch a bid until NFTs start popping again. And the reality is the way the NFTs start popping is probably not going to be. Yeah, I mean, there you go, Lucas.
There we go. I mean, that's okay. I'm
trying to find a tweet from yesterday.
I just think, I know I'm kind of taking the other side on a lot of these stances. I think it's really fucking hard to launch a token and have it constantly go up. And I think it's extremely hard as a founder of a company that is building a really good product to know how to make your token go up consistently, given how much different mechanics there are out there. I think that all of us have kind of spoken to this idea of fundamentals being a good way to kind of bring value back into these tokens, but I don't know. I just have so much sympathy, man. I'm not going to lie. For any product that's been building for 3+ years, they have a token in the world. They're still shipping. Mm-hmm. They're showing up every day. It's so much easier to just walk away, sell the token, shut down the operations, cash out. So that's where I'm coming from with all this stuff.
I agree. I'm not discounting the fact of how hard it is to launch a token and make it go up. It's definitely extremely difficult, especially when you come in with a high valuation. Definitely a very hard task. And I would agree, shout out to all the teams still shipping, showing up every day. We
got 4 of them right here on this podcast.
There we go.
Yep.
Amazing. That concludes episode 9 of Knack, Knack, Knack.
Chevy wants to go. Chevy's
out.
He's out.
Lucas, where do they find us? Not on pods.xyz, but on pods.media.
Pods.media /Not A Cartel. You can also find this on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and all other major players somehow. Magically.
Somehow.
There's some magic mechanism.
By the magic of going into the search bar and typing Not A Cartel. You can
find it.
Is this actually on Spotify? If I go to Spotify?
How does it get there, David? Now that's the beauty of pods. How does it get there? That's the beauty of pods.
I knew it was on YouTube, and someone asked me this the other day. They were like, "Is it on Spotify?" I was like, "I think it is."
I got it to Spotify. All right.
Look at that. It's on Spotify.
Pods publishes on chain and online.
Wow.
All major players.
On chain and
online.
Right? Let's not celebrate
the only
the
platform in the world. Hey, whoa!
Guys.
You gotta show your Sonieum launch. Let me get the end roll here.
Come on. let him. It's full distribution. It's the only Web3 and Web2 distribution for a podcast. You get it everywhere. It's going on Spotify. It's going on YouTube. It's going on Twitter, and it's on chain.
You know what, Lucas? You know what? Fair enough.
Hey,
Thank
take
you.
it up in the snow.
We'll see you guys next week.